Fantasy footballs, sleepers, and busts. And if you type that in and search, here's what you get. Some links from ESPN, Fantasy Pros, CBS Sportsline, the usual suspects. Let's open up a few of these things and I'll give you a quick review of what I think. I've already taken a quick peek and spoiler alert, it's not good. So when I take a look, all right, I got to stop this because they're going to start talking over top of me. One of the good things that I saw when I came here to ESPN was that right at the outset, they defined what a sleeper and a bust was. And they usually don't do that. They usually just say, oh, here are my sleepers and busts. But at least they've done that and they've correctly defined it. It's a player who will far surpass their average draft position. And a bust is a player who won't live up to the expectations. And they specifically mentioned ADP. And they've got a handy little link here to what the ADP is, which I won't click, but you get the idea. But then they go on and they say, here's my sleepers and busts. Well, that's great. But this, you can see, was written 9 days ago. And it hasn't been updated since and probably won't be updated ever again. So here's an article written in early August telling you sleepers and busts. And these are not static. These players go up and down and they don't tell you how big a sleeper or bust is. Cam Newton, is he really a bust? You sure? How big of a sleeper? How big of a sleeper is he? Is he going 10 slots below where he should go? 20 slots, 30 slots? That's important strategic information because if there's a big gap there, then you can wait and wait and wait. And the ability to wait is your strategic advantage. If you know you can get Cam in the later rounds and that he's going to produce at a top tier level, that's strategically important. But they don't give you that here. It's just, hey, I'm Stefania Bell, and here's who I think is sleeper and bust is. Journalists, they just have to fill paper. They have to fill time in a podcast. Sleepers and busts by Fantasy Pros, another one. There's just like a whole lot of fluff here. They're talking about what's going on in the 7th round. You want to go through each and every round and go through all this information. What you need to know is ADP and the predicted ADP and the difference. That's how you find out what a sleeper is. I don't want to read through all this fluff. That doesn't help me. All right, CBS Sportsline. Here's another person predicting Cam, and that's the other thing. If a lot of people predict somebody like Cam Newton as a sleeper, it affects the market. The demand goes up, and then Cam is no longer a sleeper. I mean, hypothetically speaking, let's say that's true that he is a sleeper. Well, he won't be a sleeper for long if ESPN and CBS Sportsline are saying he's a sleeper. Millions of people read these articles. It affects the market. So again, lots and lots of fluff. I want a list. I don't want to have to read through pages and pages to find out where's the ADP, where's the predicted ADP, what's the difference. And that's really what you're after. You don't want a lot of fluff. You don't want a lot of chit chat. You don't want older articles. This one's actually somewhat up to date, 10 hours ago. What you want is a quick reference that tells you, here's the ADP, here's the RDP, there's the difference. Lamar Jackson is a 23 slot bust. Avoid him. Again, 17 slot bust. Avoid him. 19 slot sleeper. 12 slot sleeper. That's information you can use. And you can go through each and every one of these positions and see exactly how big a sleeper or bust a player is, and not just whether they're sleeper or bust, but they're also customized for your league. So these numbers include your scoring system, the number of teams in your league, the scarcity in your league. That matters. That affects the prediction that Robo gives and that anybody would give. So here's your RDP. You just quick scan through the Delta column. You don't have to read through a lot of fluff. And bam, I see that's a 15 slot sleeper in Derrick Henry. And bam, that's a almost 100 slot sleeper in Darrell Henderson. And that's the other thing. This is not a static prediction. Darrell Henderson, yeah, right now he's the RB1 in LA, and that might change. So, bingo, as soon as that does change, you come back here and you get a brand new prediction for whoever the new back is. Um, and that's what you want. You don't want an article written in August about, what they thought the sleepers and busts were back then. So I mentioned that you use the information strategically by knowing who you can wait on. So we saw quarterbacks, you could wait on Wentz. We saw running backs, you can probably wait on Darrell Henderson. You can probably wait around on Derrick Henry. So this is telling you you can wait. So that's important strategic information when you're like, oh, am I going to be able to get that running back? Do I have to get one now in the first round? Will there be somebody around in the second round that's worthwhile? Derrick Henry, perhaps? So this is information that you can use because it's exactly calculated how big, how many slots better or worse a player is. And if you don't want to have to think about all that, then you just use RoboDraft because RoboDraft did exactly what I just said. So I'm in the middle of a draft right now, and so it's calculated for me. My first pick was Nick Chubb, so it's projected out my entire draft, all 13 rounds of it. And so in the next round, I'm going to pick up George Kittle because, well, there's 20 teams. It knows that Kittle will be available when it comes around on the snake wrap for me. And then it also knows that Carson Wentz will be available, AJ Green, and so on and so on. And it's going to pick up the player. It's going to wait for the players that it can wait on. So it couldn't get some of the sleepers we saw, but it did get some other sleepers like Darrell Henderson's there. That was one we saw. So we can wait to the sixth round and still get Darrell Henderson. And Darrell is right now, he's on the happy path. So the players that have stars next to them, these are optional picks. But the players that aren't with stars are on the happy path. That's the optimal path to the highest robo index. So if you skip over these players, you'll come up with a lower robo index. And you want to maximize this because basically this is a proxy for how many points you'll score in the season. It's an index. So and it thinks out and through the draft to get you, I need a one tight end, I need one QB, I need two wide receivers, I need two running backs. It thinks all that through. I need one defense, I need one kicker. So RoboDraft does all the thinking for me, and it's all based upon my customized sleepers and duds, which is here that you just looked at. Click on RoboCheat. The RoboCheat is not static. It fluctuates depending upon what the depth chart is. If you want to see the depth chart, that's also here. And you can click on it. I think it's under free stuff. And then you click over here, the depth chart. All this stuff, it's all tied together. So you can see, all right, this depth chart was updated 12 hours ago. And so I know that the RoboCheats predictions are valid for up to 12 hours ago because it's all based upon the depth chart information and then of course the projected expectations of each of these players that'll score. And you can read about all that here at, at in RoboCheat. There's an explanation of how the calculations are made. So that's pretty much it. To sum up, avoid all the fluff, avoid articles by journalists that are written a long time ago that aren't updated, and avoid articles that don't give you hard numbers, ADP, predicted ADP, do the math for you, and then avoid sites that don't allow you to then use that information in an actual draft, because that's really what you want to do. You need to take those numbers, turn the data into information that you can use in a draft, or better yet, have some artificial intelligence that tells you what to do in the draft. This has been Dr. RoboCoach. Thanks for listening. If you've made it this far along, send a email to robocoach at FantasyFootballDraft.com, and I will send you a free subscription. And remember to like. Good luck this season. Thanks.